بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله والسلام عليه تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله وخير الهدى هدى رسول الله وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. As it has been announced and spread, we're going to do, inshallah azza wa jal, some introductory lessons concerning As-Salafiyyah and what is As-Salafiyyah. And the reason for that are many. From them is that we're living in a time right now where people's understanding of Al-Islam is varied all over the place. And we found that when something small happens, like the recent paper that was sent out by one of the former graduates of the University of Al-Medina, in which he described some realities that are taking place with some Salafi people, some realities that are negative, and he attributed As-Salafiyyah to being a man-made methodology. We were surprised and shocked to see that there were many people who claimed to Salafiyyah supporting and acknowledging that what was written was acceptable and it was correct, when in fact anyone who has a basic concept and a basic cursory exposure to As-Salafiyyah, he would have been able to make the distinction between the behavior of some people with Salafi and between the claim of an individual who says that As-Salafiyyah is a man-made minhaj, like the other manahij of the different groups in Al-Islam, from the Ikhwan al-Muslimin, man-made, Jamaat al-Tabligh, man-made, the Muhajirun, Hizb ut-Tahrir, man-made, the other many groups that are out there, modern ones as well as the ones that are historically recorded, all named after people who came and they put those issues together. As for As-Salafiyyah, then it is the pure Islam that the Prophet came with, sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wasallam, and the description or the name of As-Salafiyyah is not something that's new. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure, and Allah knows best, that the writer of that paper, he knew the distinction between what he was saying and what the scholars of the past said concerning As-Salafiyyah, because the proofs of it are just too many. But it just goes to show that this is not the first time that something like this has happened. For your information, there were those people who used to write these types of statements and make these far-fetched claims. There was a man who was from Syria. He was killed, unfortunately, ghafarallahu lana wa lahu, in this fitna that's going on in Syria right now. He was the big mufti of Syria. His name is Muhammad Ramadan Saeed Bouti. He was blown up and his death is on the internet. He was an individual who was really opposed to As-Salafiyyah because he was really mutshaddid on his Hanafi way. There were a lot of people who were like that. So I'm not here to talk bad about that particular man. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, what was collected by Imam Bukhari, told us, لا تسبوا الأموات فقد أفضوا إلى ما قدموا. Don't curse the people who are dead. Don't speak bad about the people who are dead. They have gone forward to their judgment, what they're going to get. So that's enough that the person is going to go forward, and Allah Ta'ala is going to give the hisab to everybody with precision and with justice. I'm just making a point. He wrote a book, and he called his book As-Salafiyyah Marhala Zamaniya Mubaraka La Madhab Islami. He claimed that As-Salafiyyah is a blessed time. It was a blessed time with barakah, but it is not a madhab in al-Islam. And he tried his best to show how Salafi is something that's new, and he failed miserably. And that's because of the many proofs that stare a person right in the face concerning this issue. There are those people, as I mentioned, some of the personalities of the past. Maybe you've heard of them, maybe you haven't. One of them is a man by the name of Jamaluddin Al-Afghani. Jamaluddin Al-Afghani. And another man was with him, Muhammad Abdu. They were together. And they wrote some good things, trying to bring the people back to the Sunnah. They had a harakah of Islah. They were trying to rectify the Ummah. And they wrote some good things, trying to get the people to comprehend the importance of the Sunnah and the role of the Sunnah. Some people said that Salafi started with these two. And that's not the case. One of them was connected to Masons. Both of them, although they said some good things about trying to revive the Sunnah, although they did that, they used to put the intellect before the naql. And that in and of itself goes against a Salafiyyah. So they had some good, but to say that they started the Salafiyyah is ignorance, and is something that's not acceptable, because, as you're going to see, historically it's not sound, it's not correct. Some people who I know all of you have heard of, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah and Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala. Some people claim that they are the two people who started the Salafiyyah, and that again is something that's not true, because they themselves negated that and they rejected that, as you're going to see, inshallah. So the point is that this new paper that was written by the graduate who is now living in America, that paper should never had caused people to be unbalanced. We take the good and the truth of what any and everyone says, but we can't embrace falsehood. And this goes to show, Ikhwani, one of the big problems that we have today. It is not enough for you, Ya Abdullah, it's not enough for me. As Muslims, students of knowledge, it's not enough for you to just try to memorize some ayat here and some hadith there and some fiqh issues here and there. But we have to make a serious effort and a serious jihad to get what's known as at-ta'sil al-ilmi. At-ta'sil al-ilmi. That's where a person develops for himself a methodology of educating himself and comprehending issues, that when the winds of adversity blow, he's not swayed and he's not pushed off of the square. He's not swayed, he's not pushed off of the square. He knows how to look at and he knows how to comprehend every issue that comes his way. Even the issues that are big, that he finds them difficult to understand himself, because he has the ta'sil al-ilmi, he knows still how to deal with the situation, where to go to get guidance, what to do to be protected. So we don't have this issue going on right now, and as a result of that, when people come and they say we don't need any of the ulama who come from the Arab world, for an example, because we have our own ulama, there's some truth to that statement and there's some falsehood to that statement. The one who has the ta'sil al-ilmi, he doesn't get upset just like that because someone made that statement. Because it is possible that a scholar from Arabia, for an example, he doesn't understand something that's going on in Tottenham, London. It's possible. So why are you getting upset and going crazy? It's possible. But what does the person mean by that? If the person says that and he's trying to bring the scholars down, then that's what we reject. That's what we reject. We take the truthfulness of the statement, we reject the falsehood of the statement. So the ulama of al-Islam, they have usul, and they have at-ta'sil al-ilmi, they have usul. Those usul that they have, those fundamentals that they understand this religion, aqidah, fiqh, and other than that, those usul will be applicable for every place and every time. Every place and every time. But they may not know the detail of a particular situation that's going on, and as a result of that, lack of knowledge of that detail, they may not be qualified to understand that detail. That's possible. That happens. That happens. No doubt about that. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam taslimin kathira, he knew everything that was there to be known about this religion, and those companions used to ask him. But certain things happened during his time, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when they were making the pollination between the trees, and they used to do it a particular way. They asked him for his opinion. He told them do it the other way. When they did it the other way, their crops didn't grow. And as a result of that, they came to him and said, Ya Rasulullah, you told us to change, and when we changed, look what happened. He said, look, you people know your dunya better than me. This thing about pollination, you asked me my opinion, I told you. When it comes to the deen, I tell you about the deen, but don't blame me for what happened in that particular issue. So the point is, if someone were to come and he were to make a claim that this dawah and Mubarak, As-Salafiyyah, is something that's man-made, the person who has the basic knowledge of As-Salafiyyah, he'll comprehend that. I think we are putting too much emphasis on titles, too much emphasis on the outer garment, as opposed to paying attention to the essence and the reality of our situation. And the way we're going to be protected from that is at-ta'sil al-ilmi, knowing what you're doing because you have fundamentals and basics that help you to navigate yourself. All of this confusion that's going on right now is because we just don't know. It's just so simple, and we're overcomplicating the issue, and we're making people confused. So anyway, we wanted to take this opportunity out, inshallah ta'ala, for a few lessons, just to give some basic, easy durus about As-Salafiyyah. So the first thing that we want to mention is that it is known with the fitrah of anyone who has a fitrah salima, that if there is an individual who is a Muslim, when that person who is a Muslim makes mistakes, he's too rough, he's too tough, he drinks khamr, he's a thief, he's a liar. If there is a person who is like that, the religion of Islam does not take the blame for his behavior, especially when the deen of Allah is clear and it's showing everything that he's doing is wrong. So we can't blame As-Salafiyyah for the behavior of Salafis. And I think this is what happened in this case, unfortunately. Some of the rough and tough Salafi brothers, they run people away from the religion. All of us have to be aware of running people away from the religion. There was a program that came out recently called My Brother the Terrorist. I don't know if you people saw that program. The guy who made that program, he made one previously when his stepbrother became a Muslim, and he was from the Muhajirun. And he was saying things like, I can't shake your hand, I shake it with the left hand, which is the hand of dirt and stuff like that. Burning the American flag, the way we're acting, what we're saying. When non-Muslims see that, they say, hey, look at these people, they're crazy. So they make people run away from the religion. In Nigeria, person goes and he takes 200 girls, teenage girls, as captives. And then they do it again in another madrasa. When people in the world, when they see that, they say, who in his right mind wants to be in a religion that this is that dawah, this is their religion? So we can't be of those people who run the people away. As the Nabi used to warn his companions when he sent them out to give dawah, he used to tell them, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, yassiru wa la tu'assiru, bashiru wa la tunaffiru. Make things easy, don't make things difficult, and give people glad tidings, and don't run them away from the deen. Don't make them hate the religion. Don't make them hate the masjid. Don't make them hate the sunnah. You can have the haqq. You have the flag of the haqq and the call of the haqq. But the place, the time, the method that you're trying to relay the haqq causes people to hate you and hate what you are calling to. So we all have to look at that issue. All of us have to look at that issue. People call me to the masjid. I go to some of these masajid that are not on the sunnah. I go to that masjid and I start in the khutbah, the dars I'm going to talk about. It's going to be something sensitive that the people can't comprehend at that time. They're going to say, don't come back here again. What do you mean the Prophet's mother and his father they died. They're not ready to comprehend that. So leave that issue for right now and deal with what the people can appreciate, what the people can grasp. So today's class, inshallah, is a class where we just want to explain for those who know and those who don't know, who are the Salaf in this word. Is it something that is new, or is it something that the scholars of Islam used as far back as during the time of the Tabi'een themselves? Rahimahumullahu subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let's begin first by breaking it down linguistically. What is the word Salaf and Salafi in the Arabic language? Because from the ta'sil al-ilmi that you'll find with the ulama of al-Islam is all the time when you learn fiqh or you learn some type of science, the scholars of Islam, before dealing with that thing, they used to always explain what it is. What is the definition? What is the linguistic definition of it? And what's the technical definition of it, so that the person can get a picture and an image of what's being dealt with. So one of the best books in the Arabic language that a person can have if he wants to know, as some of the scholars of Islam, you see a person, he cuts his lihya on his face right here. He cuts the hair off of his face. He cuts the hair off of his neck or under his chin. And when you see that, you get upset and you say, why are you cutting your lihya? He'll say to you, because you know, in the language of the Arabs, this is not considered to be my lihya at all. This is not the lihya. How you know it's not the lihya? Because linguistically, the Arabs didn't consider that to be the lihya. That's just an example of the importance of the definitions of al-Islam. Because those definitions are going to trickle down to help a person comprehend the reality of what's being dealt with. So one of the best books in the Arabic language is the book Lisan al-Arab. Lisan al-Arab. It is an umda. It is a rukn from the arkan of those books, those dictionaries in the Arabic language. The narrator of the book, or the author of the book, is Al-Imam Ibn Manzur. He said that the Salaf, the word Salaf, he said that the meaning of it is, rahimahullahu ta'ala, من تقدمك من آبائك وذوي قرابتك الذين هم فوقك في السن والفضل ولهذا سمي الصدر الأول من التابعين السلف الصالح. He said that the Salaf in the Arabic language are those people who preceded you and they went before you from your fathers and your relatives. Those people who are above you in age and above you in virtues. And for this reason, this is why the first group of Muslims were called the Salaf as-Salih. So in the language of the Arabs, and I'm sure that the person who wrote those pages, I'm sure he knows something like this, because this is basic information. This is not some information that Abu Usamah is bringing from the first time and is being mentioned here in this masjid. This stuff is basic and everybody knows it because it's in almost every book of someone who wrote about As-Salafiyyah. So that's the meaning of As-Salaf in the language of the Arabs. The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and what was collected by Imam Muslim, and then the Imam, and know we explained the hadith of Sahih Muslim, and he dealt with the issue. The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to his daughter Fatima az-Zahra, إنه نعم السلف أنا لك. He said, hey Fatima, I am a blessed predecessor of yours. I am your Salaf. I'm older than you, I'm more virtuous than you, and I'm going to die before you. I'm going to precede you in my death. And Imam an-Nawawi came and he explained, what is the meaning of the word? And again, Ikhwani, this is not information that is not easily accessible. I don't even think in this audience that this audience is consistent of people who no one ever heard what I'm telling you right now. So it has a lot to do with just desires and playing games and politics, especially in today's environment, the environment of the Jannah hug. The dawah now is about the Jannah hug. The dawah right now is about be with my group. It's about making money right now. It's about giving dawah to the community, and everyone has to be happy, and we have to sing, and we have to dance, and we have to party. The dawah now is all of these issues that when the Nabi drew the Sirat al-Mustaqim, the long line, and then the subsequent line, the da'wah today is about these lines. Be with me and my group and don't be with anyone else. And if you don't agree with what I'm saying, then you're going to, and so forth and so on. So this information is not some new information. It's information that is ma'ruf, mashhur, ma'loom, well known, and it's not new. Concerning the issue of the knowledge that the people of today who write like this, they know about it, is the fact that some of the ulama al-kalam of the past, not to mention the ulama of the Sunnah, knew what it was, as-Salaf as-Salih and as-Salafiyyah. They wrote about that. And then the ulama al-kalam. From them, Al-Imam Abu Hamid al-Ghazali, Muhammad al-Ghazali. He was a big scholar in Islam, really good in usul al-fiqh, good in the Shafi'i madhab. And he wrote some really beneficial books about the ruhaniyat, things to make you feel good. He wrote some good books. He has that book, Ihya Ulum ad-Din. In that book, there's a lot of good, and in that book, there are a lot of problems. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah used to praise aspects of the book. Al-Imam al-Ghazali, when he was explaining what is a Salafi, and he's from the ulama al-kalam, he said, I mean by a Salafi, madhhab as-sahabati wat-tabi'een. Salaf is the way of the companions and the way of the tabi'een. He didn't say Muhammad Abdul, he didn't say Jamal ad-Din al-Adhering, he didn't say Ibn Taymiyyah, he didn't say Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. What he understood and what everybody understood from the ulama of Islam, whether they're from the people of Ilm al-Kalam or the Sunnah, that when someone said the Salaf, that it was the madhab of the Sahaba and the madhab of the Tabi'een. Another one of the many Imams of Ilm al-Kalam is Al-Imam al-Bayjuri. He's not that well known, but he said al-Murad biman salaf man taqaddama min al-anbiya'i was-sahabati wat-tabi'een wat-tabi'ihim. He said the goal and the objective and the meaning of the Salaf are those people who went forward before you from the prophets and from the companions and from the tabi'een and from the followers of the tabi'een. So let us look now at the ulama of the Sunnah. And from one of the greatest ulama of the Sunnah is Al-Imam al-Bukhari in his book of Sahih. And Imam al-Bukhari, in explaining and making clear what is the way of the Salaf, and when the scholar said as-Salaf, what did they mean? He, rahimahullah ta'ala, said that this man, and listen to his name is Rashid ibn Sa'd. Rashid ibn Sa'd. Al-Imam al-Bukhari brought inside al-Bukhari that this man, Rashid ibn Sa'd, said, كان السلف يستحبون الفحول لأنها أجرى وأجسر. Rashid ibn Sa'd, who was from the Tabi'een, he said that the Salaf used to like the fuhula, the camel that was a warrior, the camel that was used like the male camel, the stud, the strong camel. He said that the Salaf, they used to raise up that camel over every other camel because that camel was quicker and that camel was stronger. So this man, Rashid ibn Sa'd, said that the Salaf used to like the camel. And he's from the Tabi'een. The man is from the Tabi'een. So if the man from the Tabi'een is saying that the Salaf used to like this type of camel, it's an issue of fiqh. The issue is connected to al-jihad. That's what this kalam is connected to. If you're making jihad and you're participating in the jihad and you're riding a particular kind of camel, after the Muslims win, you'll get such and such a thing from the spoils of war. If you're walking after the Muslims win, you'll get less than what he got. If you're an individual that did this or you did that, your efforts will be determined, how much you get will be determined by your efforts. So this is the kalam here. But the reason why it's being used right now is that a man from the Tabi'i, he said that the Salaf used to like that particular camel. And if that man was from the Tabi'een, then who could he possibly be referring to when he mentioned the word Salaf? Al-Imam Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, who explained all of the ahadith in Sahih Bukhari, he said about this statement of Rashid ibn Sa'd, he said the meaning, what he meant by the Salaf, Ibn Hajar said, is that he means the companions and those people who came after the companions, because Rashid ibn Sa'd was from the Tabi'een. That's basic. It's simple. It doesn't require anybody to be tripping out or to freak out. It's so simple and easy. How in the world would a person with sincerity come now and say that the concept of the Salaf is something that is new, is something that is man-made, when you have it being clearly explained to you in many ahadith, like this one? Another example of that is what Al-Imam al-Bukhari brought. And we could have gotten things from other places, but when the person hears that the thing is inside al-Bukhari, khalas, finish, no problem. Another example of that inside al-Bukhari is that Al-Imam al-Bukhari brought a statement of one of the greatest imams from the Tabi'een, Al-Imam al-Zuhri, Muhammad ibn Shihab al-Zuhri. He's from the Sigar al-Tabi'een, the smaller Tabi'een. And the meaning by the smaller Tabi'een is that they took the majority of their knowledge from the Tabi'een, and they took some knowledge from the companions. They met the companions. Whereas the Kibar Tabi'een, like Al-Hasan al-Basri, like Ibrahim al-Nakha'i, they're from the major companion Tabi'een. The big Tabi'een, they took the majority of their knowledge from the companions, and they took some knowledge from the other Tabi'een. And Imam al-Zuhri is from the smaller Tabi'een. Doesn't mean he's younger, just means he only met about 3 or 4 companions who he actually took knowledge from. But nonetheless, he's from the Tabi'een. Al-Imam al-Bukhari, he said that Al-Imam al-Zuhri said concerning the bones of elephants, the bones of camels, the bones of horses, when the bones used to break, and in the Arabian sun, Al-Imam al-Zuhri said about those bones, he said, I met a number of people from the ulama from the Salaf. They used to take those bones and they used to use it to comb their hair. They turned those bones into combs. And they used to also grind those bones up, and the juice that came out, they would use it for oil for their hair, and they didn't see any problem with that. Well, what's the issue about? Why did Bukhari bring this? Bukhari brought this because there are some animals when they're dead, they're najis. They're najis. You can't touch it, you can't do anything with it. So what is the ruling about the bones of the elephant? What's the ruling of the bones of the dinosaurs? They found some bones of the dinosaurs. They're in Arabia these days. What's the ruling? Is it najasa? Is it bad? Al-Imam al-Zuhri said, I met some ulama from the Salaf who are of the opinion that they used to use those bones and turn them into combs, and they used to also grind them up, and the juice that came out, they used to use it for oil. And they didn't see any problem with that. Again, it's clear. Al-Imam al-Zuhri, he called the companions the Salaf. He called the companions the Salaf. Again, how in the world, if an individual were to hear someone screaming on the microphone with a bullhorn, and he says, As-Salafiyyah is Jadid, the Salaf is Ibn Taymiyyah, the Salaf is Muhammad Abdul Wahhab, why would he get upset? Why would he get excited? Let that person scream. As for you, don't jump up and down. This thing has been dealt with in perfect detail in the Deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. From what we will also mention to you is what Al-Imam Muslim brought. Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim. And Imam Muslim brought a chain of narration all the way up to the Amir al-Mu'mineen in Hadith, and they were 10 of them. One of the greatest of the Umara al-Mu'mineen in Hadith is Al-Imam Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak. And Imam Muslim brought the statement in which Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak, he used to stand up in front of the people during his time. He used to stand up in front of the people during his time, and he used to say, Daru Hadith Amr ibn Thabit فإنه كان يسب السلف. Abdullah ibn Mubarak was a muhaddith. He was a scholar of al-Jarh wa Ta'dil. He was a scholar of the Sunnah. He was a scholar of fiqh. He was telling the people who wrote Hadith and the people who worked by the Hadith, he said, don't take the Hadith. Abandon and avoid the Hadith of a man. His name is Amr ibn Thabit. And that's because he used to curse the Salaf. He used to curse the Salaf. If you go and you look at the Turjama or the biography in the books of Hadith, the narrators, and you find this man, Amr ibn Thabit, you're going to find that the people who he cursed were the companions because he was from the Rafidah. He used to curse Abu Bakr and Umar. He used to curse Muawiyah. He used to curse Aisha radiyallahu anhum ajma'in. So Abdullah ibn Mubarak from the ulama of al-Hadith, and other than Al-Imam Abdullah ibn Mubarak, they understood and they comprehended that this concept of the Salaf. Who are the Salaf? The Salaf are the companions of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And As-Salafiyyah is connecting yourself to them. Simple as that. How are you going to come and say that it's something new? The Awa'il, As-Sabiqun Al-Awwalun, from the ulama of this ummah, they understood. You may not understand that and you may not accept it. Your opinion doesn't mean anything. But the ulama of the past, those virtuous people, they understood that the Salaf, they were the companions. They were the people who followed the companions. They were the people who followed the followers of the companions, radiyallahu anhum ajma'in. Al-Imam Al-Awza'i. Al-Imam Al-Awza'i was from Asham. He had his own madhab. He was an imam of the Sunnah. He has some really beautiful statements that will give you the ta'sil al-ilmi during this time. Al-Imam Al-Awza'i told us, alaykum bi tariqat al-salaf. Take the way of the Salaf. And don't be faint-hearted and don't be afraid from the many people who are against you. And don't get tricked by the beautiful speech that people may have. That's a ta'sil. A person, he sees himself as being on the Sunni, Salafi, but as soon as the winds of adversity come and they blow, that individual, he starts to slip, he starts to sing, he starts to change because so many people are against him. It's not, what are you worrying about? So many. He said, take the way of the Salaf and don't let the many people who are on the other way, don't let it make you afraid. And don't be faint-hearted because of the few people who are with you. Don't be like that. Don't be an individual who thinks you being on the truth is indicated only by the fact that many people are with you. You have to have the ability to say to people, hey, what you're saying is not correct. And what you're doing is not correct. It's not fair. And today's time, there are many Salafi people who are scared. They are afraid to say something that the Mutashaddideen don't agree with because he doesn't want to be put out there, whether it's against those people or anybody else. Don't be of the people who your religion is just trying to be with the group and trying to be okay under the radar. Al-Imam Al-Awza'i mentioned concerning this issue of As-Salafi. He told the people, اصبر نفسك على السنة وقف حيث وقف القوم وقل بما قالوا وكف عما كفوا عنه واسلك سبيل سلفك الصالح فإنه يسعك ما وسعه. He told the people, be patient, make yourself patient, have sabr upon the sunnah and stop where the people stopped. So who are the people? We have to find out who are the people. Stop where the people stopped. He said, and say what they said and hold back from what and on what they held back from and follow the sabil of your righteous predecessors. For verily what was enough for them is enough for you. Now, anyone can come and interpret the people how they want to, because this is a general statement of Al-Imam Al-Awza'i. Anyone could come and interpret the Salaf al-Salih as they want to, because the kalam of Al-Imam in terms of fiqh and the language, it is mujmal. It's just general. That's all he said. He didn't say which people. He said Salaf al-Salih. But we know when you find out the background of what happened, you know who he's talking about. Stop where the people stop. follow the Salaf as-Salih. He said this to a man who was asking excessive questions, questions that have no benefit. For an example, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that when the Dajjal comes, a Dajjal, he's going to have written on his head, kafir, kafir. So the descriptions of the Dajjal, that he has one eye, that he's going to claim a rububiyyah, he's the Lord, the many descriptions that the Prophet gave about a Dajjal. There's a person who listens to those descriptions, and then after hearing all of the hadith, the question that he has for the sheikh is, you know the word kafir, is it going to be written in English or Arabic? That word kafir on his head, what if the person can't read and write? He is illiterate. Would he be able to read it? And Imam al-Awza'i said, hey, stop where the people stopped and say what they said and hold back from what they held back from. Ar-Rahman ala al-Arsh istawa. Allah is over the throne in a way that befits His Majesty. He knows the reality of that. Those people, radiyallahu anhum, when those ayahs came down, although they were very inquisitive and they used to ask the Prophet everything that he did differently, any change they would ask him. They were people who wanted to know their religion. Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu knocked on the door. The Nabi let him in, and his clothes were exposing his thighs, above his thighs, his knees, his thighs. The Prophet stayed in that condition. Umar came, he said let him in, and he didn't move. Uthman came, and he sought permission. The Prophet said hold on. He put his clothes and he covered up his thighs. He let Uthman in. The time came, all of them left. Aisha radiyallahu anha, she's a talibatul ilm. She wants to know. Ya Rasulullah, Abu Bakr, my father, came, Umar came, and you stayed like that, and then Uthman came, and you changed. Why? He said to her, أَفَلَا أَسْتَحِي مِنْ رَجُلٍ يَسْتَحِي مِنْهُ الْمَلَائِكَةِ. Shall I not be shy of a man who the malaika are shy? She wanted to know. They used to have that type of desire to know. They were not people who, if they saw him smiling, they would say, what makes you smile, Ya Rasulullah? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? They were inquisitive. They wanted to know about the Sunnah. But when it came to issues of Aqeedah, when it came to issues about the details of things, they weren't people who asked questions, because the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam cultivated them on that. When he told the people about the Qadr, and that's in Aqeedah, told the people about the Qadr. Everything is by the Qadr. And he told them some stuff about the Qadr. One of the companions said, Ya Rasulullah, should we not just relax and relax and let the Qadr take over? Don't make efforts? Should we not? He wants to know if everything is written by the Qadr. Should we just not relax and let the pen overtake us? The Nabi told him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, kullun muyassirun lima khuliqa lahu. Everyone is going to find it easy to do what he's been created to do. So they were people who were inquisitive. They wanted to know their deen. But they didn't go deep into that stuff. So we know that Imam al-Awza'i was talking about those companions when he says, stop where they stopped, say what they said, don't go beyond what they went beyond. And he called them the Salaf as-Salih because of the background of the issue, what happened when he said it and why he said it. Was telling his students, don't ask questions that the Prophet's companions didn't ask, sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wasallam. Al-Imam Al-Thahabi, Ikhwani, has a tremendous book called Kitab Sir A'lam Al-Nubala. And in that book, Sir A'lam Al-Nubala talks about the great personalities in Al-Islam. And Al-Imam Al-Thahabi was one of the great historians in Al-Islam. And in that book, he brings heroes and he brings people who have problems as well. And one of the things that is really impressive about Al-Imam Al-Thahabi, especially in this book, is his fairness and his justice. His fairness and his justice. There's a man in Islam, his name is Hallaj ibn Yusuf Al-Thaqafi. He was a tyrant and he was tough. And he did a lot of bad things to the companions, radiyallahu anhum. But despite that fact, he was a strong personality in Islam, and he helped Islam to spread, and he put a cap on the spread of a lot of innovation, and his personality in Islam is a personality to be reckoned with, but he was a bad guy. Al-Imam Al-Thahabi, he would bring information about this, and he would bring information about that. And the historical perspective, so that the one who reads it can get a picture of who the man was, He was fair and just. And he did that with people who were really problematic. He did that with other people who were really problematic in the Aqidah. He would bring some of the good of what they did, and he would bring some of the messed up things that they were upon. No one in his right mind is going to come and claim that Al-Imam Al-Thahabi, he fell into muwazanat. He's mentioning the good things of the people of innovation. And that's because it's clear why he's doing what he's doing. He's just trying to get people exposed to this individual's history, his seerah. He brought the seerah of one of the greatest muhaddithin in al-Islam, Al-Imam Ad-Daraqutni. Al-Imam Ad-Daraqutni. He brought a statement of Ad-Daraqutni. Daraqutni said about himself. Ma shay'un abghadu ilayya min ilm al-kalam. There is nothing that I hate more than rhetoric. Ilm al-kalam. I hate this ilm al-kalam. Daraqutni said that about himself. Al-Imam Al-Thahabi said about that statement, لم يدخل الرجل في علم الكلام ولا الجدال ولا خاض في ذلك بل كان سلفيا. There's a student of Ibn Taymiyyah, who some people say As-Salafiyyah started with Ibn Taymiyyah. He is one of his major students who spread As-Salafiyyah. And Imam Al-Thahabi said about the statement of Ad-Daraqutni concerning himself, there's nothing that I hate more than Ilm al-Kalam. Al-Thahabi said that this man, he never entered into Ilm al-Kalam, and he never entered into al-Jidal, argumentation, al-Jidal. He said he never preoccupied himself with that, and that's because he was Salafi. And this man is way before the Sheikh of Al-Imam Al-Thahabi, who some people falsely claim he was the one who invented and started As-Salafiyyah. As-Salafiyyah, Jihadiyah, is an oxymoron. Political Salafiyyah is an oxymoron. There's no such thing. Is there jihad in Islam? Yes, so there's jihad in Salafi. As for a Salafi who's takfiri, jihadi, that's an oxymoron. It doesn't exist. Salafiyyah Najdiyah, there's a Salafiyyah from a Najd. It's an oxymoron. Well, what is that? It doesn't exist. Salafi is Salafi. It's just Islam. It's the pure Islam. It is the pure Islam. After that, Ikhwani, I want to make this point, and that is, I don't want anyone to misunderstand what we're mentioning here and what we're trying to make the point here. Today's lesson is just, if we want to know who the Salaf are, then it's not something that is ambiguous. It's something that's easy, something that there's ittifaq between the scholars what it is. Only people who have ulterior motives or people who are mixed up, they don't know, they make these false claims that are not supported by knowledge, that a Salafi is something new. A Salafi is something that was invented and created by a group of people or one person. Something that is not true. But you should understand, everything that existed during the time of the companions and everything that existed during the time of the tabi'een and the followers of the tabi'een, we don't call that Salafi, because they were things that existed during the time of the companions. That is innovation. Many of those groups that are against the way of the Salaf, like the Khawarij, they were doing the time of the companion, their heads came up. Like the Rafida, their heads came up. The Shiite, who started to curse the companions, that happened during the time of the companions of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Qadariyah, the people who started to say nothing is by the Qadr. Allah doesn't know what's going to happen until it happens. That happened during the time of the companions radiyallahu anhum. So in terms of the zaman, in terms of the time, the Salaf, they are the companions and the tabi'un and the followers of the tabi'een, but it is the good things that were going on during that time, and that's why the scholars call it as Salaf al-Salih, the righteous predecessors. not the stuff that was happening that wasn't of a religious nature. So everything that was present during their time, you don't consider that to be from As-Salafiyyah, because there were some things that Al-Islam were opposed to. Last thing that we want to mention right now is, in trying to identify and talk about who the Salaf are and what is meant by that, again, I repeat and I reiterate, the goal and the objective, Ikhwani, is not hanging on to these titles. A man can scream all day that he is Salafi all day. He can do that all day. And that's not what Allah, His Messenger, wants from us. Allah doesn't want us to run around screaming Salafi, Salafi, but everything that we're doing is contrary to a Salafiyyah. Today's talk is academic. Who are the Salaf? That's the Salaf. But the goal and the objective and the tarkeez and the emphasis is upon making jihad and struggling, trying to implement the way, the minhaj, the methodology of the Salaf. At-Ta'sil al-ilmi, the one who has a foundation, he realizes there's a big distinction and difference between I know what Salafi is and I have to make a struggle to be Salafi. It seems like the emphasis now is on the word, and there's hizbiyah with the Salafi. I'm on the right team, my team is better than your team, and I'm Salafi. And that's not the goal and the objective. The goal and the objective is for the person to try to be on the way of those companions by preoccupying himself with having the correct aqeedah, preoccupying himself with having the correct minhaj about how he's going along and he's dealing with issues in his life, by being a person who is studying his religion, by being an individual who's protecting his lisan, by being an individual who's doing those afkar of the daytime and the nighttime. As for being preoccupied with being judgmental towards people, and we're some of the worst people in our behavior, and we actually think, well, as long as I'm Salafi, it's okay, because those people are they off of it, and I'm not off of it, so I'm better than it. Ooh, that's backwards. That's mixed up. That's not the goal and the objective. That's not the goal and the objective. As-Salafi is the haqq. It is al-Islam al-Musaffa. It's the pure Islam. But again, what's in the name? What's in the name? A person who says he's a Muslim, but he doesn't make his Islam to Allah Azza wa Jal with a tawheed. He is a Muslim and he claims that he submits, but he's making shirk all the time in what he believes in. He's misbehaved. What's the benefit of screaming, I'm a Muslim and you're a kafir, I'm a Muslim, you're a kafir? What's the benefit? That's not the goal, that's not the objective. So as it relates to who the Salaf are, this is and that was who they are, and it is not a term that is new with the people. It's something that the scholars from a long time, they knew and they understood. So for the next 5, 6, 7 minutes until 8:30, inshallah, if you brothers have any questions concerning this, you can put your questions forward, and I would hope and I would love that people would bring with sincerity, you know, the issues that are in your head and in your mind. Let's not be of those people who, you know, we hide things on the inside with. Don't be afraid. Just say what you have to say. Inshallah, we deal with the issue to the best of our ability collectively. Fadli ya akhi kareem.
Well, I just wanted to know, if you were to pray amongst people, innovation, for example, Sufis, would your salah be accepted?
Yeah, your salah could be accepted if your condition dictated that you prayed amongst people who were Sufi. So a general question like that, you're not responsible for who's praying next to you. That's not your job. That's not your objective. We're getting ready to pray behind a man right now, Salat al-Maghrib, inshallah. And we don't know who from amongst us are even real Muslims. So that's not anyone's business. We're going to pray behind this man. It's not our business who's next to you, who's in front of you, who's behind you. If that imam who's going to pray with us is a Sufi, he is a Sufi, and he's on Sufism that doesn't take him outside of the religion of al-Islam, then we can pray behind him as well. We can pray behind him as well. But if that imam is praying and the Sufism that he believes in is the Sufism of al-Kufr and Shirk, like the Baha'iyya, those people, what they believe, the Qadianiyya, they pray. If you pray behind those people and you know that that man is Qadiani, then you didn't pray at all. You didn't pray at all. You didn't pray at all, because what they believe in takes them outside of the fold of Islam. And Allah is A'la and A'la. Any more questions, Ikhwani? تفضل يا أخي تفضل.
One question about, there's a risk of Boko Haram in Nigeria. They are claiming to become like the Sharia state of Nigeria. I don't know whether it is right to abduct people and then sell them to.
I don't want to talk too much about Boko Haram. That's because I have family members in Nigeria. And if you disagree with Boko Haram and Shabab and people like this, they will kill you and they will kill your family. They will kill you and they will kill your family. There was a time when you can say something about them here in the UK and nothing's going to happen to you. Nothing will happen to you because you're in the UK. But they'll go and kill your family. They will kill your family. So it's not wise for me to talk about Boko Haram with my family members there in Nigeria. Any more questions, Ikhwani? Okay. تفضل يا أخي تفضل. تفضل يا أخي. That's not true, that the Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen did not like the term Salafi, because of what we just proved to you, that Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen would not be against what the ulama of the Salaf, the ulama of Islam, who he comprehended what they said so well, he wouldn't be against what they said. What the Sheikh did not like was for the division of the ummah that we have today in the form of the many groups, like the Ikhwan Muslimin, like Jamaat al-Jihad, like the Muhajirun, like the different Sufi groups, like a group of people who call themselves Salafi and they're a group. So they're a group of people who are Salafi and they're a group. If you disagree with us, something's wrong with you, and there's a group of Hizbiyah. He said this is not permissible, because a Salafiyyah is not a group like that. A group where someone's in charge, there's an imam, there's a secretary, there's a leader. Everyone has to agree with what you're saying. No, that's what he was against. He was against the Hizbiyah that some Salafi people made on a Salafiyyah. As for Salafiyyah, Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen said in many places that a Salafiyyah is al-Islam and it is the haqq. This person wants to know, do you have to call yourself Salafi? La, wallahi, you don't have to call yourself Salafi. But Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, he mentioned, and I was going to read this, but I didn't for time. He said in his book, Majmu' al-Fatawa, وَلَا عِيبَ على من أظهر مذهب السلف وانتسب إليه واعتز به إليه بل يجب قبول ذلك منه باتفاق فإن مذهب السلف لا يكون إلا حقا. He said there is no blame and no problem with an individual to show that he is upon and he supports the way of the Salaf, and he connects himself to the way of the Salaf, and he finds honor in connecting himself to the way of the Salaf. As a matter of fact, it is wajib for that to be accepted from him if he does that with ittifaq and the unanimous agreement of the scholars. For verily the way of the Salaf, it is the truth. But if you don't have to use the word, then you don't have to use the word. If there's going to be a problem with using the word, you don't have to use the word. But a person shouldn't be ashamed or embarrassed. But if he doesn't use it for some dawah reason, real dawah reason, no problem, no problem. Person said, what is a Salafi? A Salafi is simply the person who's trying to follow the way of the righteous predecessors. He understands that. He's trying his best. Doesn't mean he's an angel. Doesn't mean he doesn't never make mistakes. He can make mistakes. But from the way of the Salaf is to make tawbah from the mistakes that the person makes. Lastly, and this is the last question, how do you know that you are Salafi or on the minhaj of As-Salafiyyah? You know that with knowledge. If an individual, like this thing about Ahlul Hadith, Ahlul Sunnah, many of the people who are claiming Ahlul Sunnah, the Deobandis, they claim Ahlul Sunnah. They're from the Asha'ira, they say that they're Ahlul Sunnah. but they won't say that they're Salafi. So a person may think he's from Ahl Sunnah, but he doesn't know what Ahl Sunnah is, and he really believes he's from Ahl Sunnah. That's possible. So it's with knowledge. So if a person knows the way of the Salaf, and his niyyah is in trying to practice that to the best of his ability with knowledge, then inshallah ta'ala he is Salafi, even if his opponents say he's not Salafi, even if his opponents say that he's not Salafi. So don't be of those people who are afraid of the rules and the hukums that people are given. We're going to stop here inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we ask Allah ta'ala to give us the thabat on his kitab and the sunnah of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to give us ikhlas in our statements and our actions. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.